or the name of the man. But it was apparently one of the Sahaba radiallahu anhum wa ardahum, who probably came to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam for something, and he sallallahu alaihi wasallam gave him that advice. So he sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, اغتنم خمسا قبل خمس. Leverage 5 before you are faced with another 5. And he sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, اغتنم خمسا قبل خمس شبابك قبل هرمك وصحتك قبل سقمك وغناك قبل فقرك وفراغك قبل شغلك وحياتك قبل موتك. 5. So the first one, after اغتنم خمسا قبل خمس شبابك قبل هرمك, your youth age before you become old, before you become too old. فراغك قبل هرمك وصحتك قبل مرضك, and your healthy condition or healthy state before you become ill or sick. وغناك قبل فقرك, and your rich state before you become poor, or the state where you are, alhamdulillah, in a financial stable condition before, la samahallah, you get into a situation where you are in need. وفراغك قبل شغلك, which means the state of being free before you become very busy. وحياتك قبل موتك, and your life before your death. So the first one is your youth time. The second one is your healthy state. The third one is your free, your rich or financial stable condition, and the fourth one is your free state, and the last one is your life before death. So those are the 5 things that he sallallahu wanted to give as an advice to leverage before the other 5 comes. And let's just go through each one of them, inshallah, and relate with our current life, inshallah. So the first one, shababaka qabla haramik, your youth time before you become old. The one who narrated this hadith was Abdullah ibn Abbas. Abdullah ibn Abbas was born 3 years before al-Hijrah. Before Hijrah. How long did he sallallahu stay after Hijrah, before he passed away? Any clue? 10 to 11 years. 10 to 11 years. So how old was he when he sallallahu passed away? 13 or 14 years. Yeah, because he was born 3 years only before Hijrah. So almost 14 years. So that was his age, radiallahu anhu arda. And Ibn Abbas, rahimahullah, was a person who Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam has made a dua, Allahumma faqihhu fi ad-din wa 'allimhu at-ta'wil. Oh Allah, increase him in fiqh, in this religion, and increase him in the understanding of the meanings of Quran. وَعَلِّمْهُ التَّأْوِيلِ. And Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu was a cousin to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, so he used to come to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam very often and sit with him and hear from him. Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu was the one who narrated this hadith where he was riding behind Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam on a camel, and he sallallahu alaihi wasallam said to him, Ya ghulam, inni u'allimuka kalimat, ihfadillah yahfazk. He said, oh my dear, I want to teach you some words, safeguard of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah will safeguard of you, and to the end of the hadith. So that was Abdullah ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu, who was one of the most young Sahaba that narrated a lot of ahadith on Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And not only that he learned from Rasulullah, but also he learned from the major Sahaba. Because even after the death of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he was sticking himself to the Sahaba radiallahu anhum, like Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, and Ali, to learn from them what he might have missed from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam because of his young age. And that was actually the very perfect example of how a person can leverage their young age before they become too old. Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu warda was the person who, at the time when he passed away, his friends came to him and they were like, let's just play and spend our time in something that we feel happy about. Let's have a life, as we call it these days. And Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu used to refuse that. He sometimes would cry because of how much people or his friends are pulling him to play and to spend his time in something that was more, more fun. But he would refuse, and he would go to the major Sahaba to learn from them. And Ibn Abbas, when he grew up and he became a man, the whole ummah was walking behind him to learn from his knowledge, to the extent that his peers, his childhood peers, when they grew up, they were doing their Hajj and they saw a huge crowd coming from a distance. When they went there to see who was going, they found someone in the middle between the thousands of people who are just listening to what he says, and they found out that this was their youth mate, Abdullah ibn Abbas. At the time when they saw him, they realized that they have wasted their time when they were playing at the time when Abdullah ibn Abbas was leveraging his time to become the real scholar. So they used to say, لَقَدْ كَانَ هَذَا الْفَتَى أَفْقَهَ مِنَّا, that verily this man was much more smart and much more knowledgeable than us when we were at the young age. There isn't any time that a person would regret or would feel sad that they have left more than the youth time. And subhanAllah, the more wise a person becomes, the more weak his body becomes. And it's very, subhanAllah, it's very interesting that at the youth age, a person would have less wisdom. But when they become old and they become weak in their body, their maturity and their wisdom becomes very high. And that actually is very interesting, because you really need your strength and wisdom at some point in time. And that's how most of the time the elders try their best to convey to the youth that whatever this time that you have is the best time in your life. So use it or you will lose it. That's how we see this. So شبابك قبل هرمك وصحتك قبل سقمك. The person who lives in a good state or health condition will not complain about things that will prevent him or her from remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or doing something righteous. You know, when someone becomes ill, all their concern is how to get the cure or how to get more healthy. And they would never be at a state where they can think more deeply about how to leverage their time or how to do righteous good deeds, because all what they are facing is this pain that they want to get out of. And subhanAllah, Rasulullah has made it that it is very important that you really be mindful about those times when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives you that health. We see, subhanAllah, that Rasul or in Sharia, there are certain excuses given to the people in sickness or in illness. That, for example, if they cannot stand in their prayer, they can pray while sitting. Or if, for example, water may add some illness to them, then they can do tayammum. I mean, there are multiple things that in Sharia, the people in sickness can be excused for things that otherwise they will not. But that is to give them a relief from things that are mandatory. But things that are just recommended and not mandatory, they are not even being asked from the healthy people, let alone the ones who are unhealthy. So what Rasulullah ﷺ is telling us is that if you are not leveraging your time in doing nawafil, in doing khair, while you are at a young age, while you are at a healthy condition, then let alone when you become old, or when you become weak, or when you become sick, and so on. Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam has said in the authentic hadith that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Exalted, has said, ما تقرب إلي عبدي بشيء أحب إلي مما افترضت عليه, that there isn't any matter or task of obedience or an act of worship that a person will draw closer to Allah through more than what doing or perfecting the mandatory deeds that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made fard on the person. So example of fard, Salah, the 5 daily prayer. Example of fard is Siyam. Example of fard, Zakat, and so on. So Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said that you, the person or the servant of Allah, will not do something that will draw them closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala better than perfecting those deeds that are faridah. Which means that if you perfect your Salat al-Isha, it's way more important than praying Qiyam al-Layl. Right? I'm not littling, or we're not littling the Qiyam al-Layl and its impact and its reward and whatnot, but what we're saying is that perfecting your Salat al-Isha is more rewardful than doing the extra nawafil afterwards or beforewards. So that's the first portion. But the second portion says, وَلَا يَزَالُ عَبْدِي يَتَقَرَّبُ إِلَيَّ بِالنَّوَافِلِ حَتَّى أُحِبَّهُ. And my servant would continue getting closer to me through offering more of nawafil until I love him. That's Hadith Qudsi. So Prophet Muhammad saying that Allah the Exalted is saying that my servant would continue in drawing closer to me through doing extra good deeds, through doing nawafil, until I love him or her. And that's where Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is saying, leverage those times, leverage the condition of you being youth, of you being young, of you being healthy, of you being rich, of you being free, of you being alive, before you are hit with something that would prevent you. And those nawafil are among the things that you really are supposed to do. So, شبابك قبل هرمك, صحتك قبل سقمك, غناك قبل فقرك. That your financial stable or financial good condition before you become in need. SubhanAllah, there was this hadith about some of the Sahaba who were not wealthy. They came to Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and they said, Ya Rasulullah, ذهب أهل الدثور بالأجور. That the rich people are getting more reward than us. Because when you asked us to pray, everyone of us is praying. When you asked us to do our siyam and anything, that we are all doing. But on top of that, the rich ones are able to donate money that we cannot. So he sallallahu alaihi wasallam taught them some dua. He said, say this dua, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give you more reward that is equivalent to as if you were paying the donations or making the sadaqah. So later, the rich of the Sahaba radiallahu anhum learned about this dua, and they started to make it. So the poor ones came to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam again, and they said, Ya Rasulullah, they learned about it, and now not only they are paying their sadaqah, but also they learned the dua. So that's when Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, ذَلِكَ فَضْلُ اللَّهِ يُؤْتِيهِ مَن يَشَاءُ. This is the bounties from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Allah may give it to whom Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala likes. So in here the hadith is saying, leverage the time when you have money, extra money that you can give, that you can donate, that you can make sadaqah with, before you come to a point where your money is not enough for your life or your family needs. And that's when you cannot do the sadaqah anymore, right? And then he ﷺ said, وَفَرَاغَكَ قَبْلَ شُغْلِكَ, and that your free time before you become very busy. And subhanallah, Rasul ﷺ has said, نعمتان مغبون فيهما كثير من الناس الصحة والفراغ, that there are two bounties that many people are not really aware of, or are not thankful, are not being grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for. And those are as-sihha, health, wal-faragh, and having free time. Because subhanAllah, I mean, most of the time when people have free time, what do they say? I don't have nothing to do, right? Yeah. You sometimes talk to our youth, they are playing video games, and you tell them, why don't you do something more beneficial? And all what you hear from them, I have nothing to do. So, and there are, I mean, let me ask you one question. One of the, or what do you think one of the most difficult time that you spend in your life? Isn't it when you are waiting for your turn? You go to a government office, you're waiting for to be served. Like, do you call it DMV here? What do you call it? DMV? Yeah, DMV. You could go to a DMV, you get a number, like let's say you got a number 99, and you look at the screens and the numbers are still in their 20s. You thought that maybe it will go fast, but between 21 and 22 there's like 5 minutes. And then 22 to 23, another 4 minutes. 23 to 24, maybe 6 minutes. And you say, oh my God, I'm not going to do it today. And you will wait, and you will feel that, subhanAllah, it's like Yawm al-Qiyamah. You're waiting for, it's an endless state of waiting. And the reason that person lives this moment or this experience is because their time, subhanAllah, is not being spent in the right way. Like had a person got their soul connected to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they would actually look for those opportunities when they have nothing to do, so that they can connect their soul in remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to their Lord. That's actually those moments, those waiting moments that people have, are actually the most precious moments in the life of the righteous people. Most of our youth, even the adults, they find it very difficult when they have to wait on a red traffic light. They are like, and they hit the steering wheel. They move their heads, and sometimes they have to play music in order to just consume their time. And the reason for this is because the person does not have anything to do between them and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Like think about it. What would be better for the person than finding a time to connect themselves with their Lord? What could be better than that? And unfortunately, every time we found ourselves alone with nothing to really get us busy, that's our most hateful time, because we just are so far from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that is why Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam is saying that those two ni'mah that many people are not grateful for, having health and having what? Free time. So فراغك قبل شغلك, and the last one is عليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته حياتك قبل موتك, and your life before you pass away. And that this one is very obvious and very clear. But I think what makes people actually not very much leveraging that is because most of the time when someone thinks about death, what comes to their mind is that they are going to live for 60, 70, maybe 80 years, and that's what is expected. When subhanallah, death doesn't know an age, does not know a race, does not know anything. It could happen to anyone. And a rich person who is so healthy, wealthy, and at a young age could be driving a Ferrari, and all of a sudden car accident and they lose their life, right? And what does this Ferrari do for them in their qabr? Nothing. What does this young age do for them? And nothing. Even their healthy and wealthy status is not going to bring them any benefit when subhanallah, death moment comes. There was a Muslim neighbor when I lived in Seattle. Who he was a neighbor to the masjid, but he was not really coming to the masjid. Apparently, one day we got a lady, a non-Muslim lady, coming to the masjid, and she was like, "I need your help. My husband is on his deathbed, and I know he is Muslim, and I need someone to just help him during this most difficult moment." So the Imam, Jazallah khair, along with few people, went there to see that man. And the person was still able to communicate very well, but the person was severely sick. So he told them, he is very wealthy, mashallah, one of the most beautiful houses. It's actually a palace. And he was very, what do you call it, very fit and very athletic, if that's what you say. So he was athletic, he was a good fit, mashallah. He wasn't really too old, in his late 40s. And if you see him with the way that he actually works on his skin and his hair and whatnot, you can't give him more than 30. But subhanallah, he was so sick, and he was telling everyone, including the Imam, he was like, I know it's just a temporary thing. I'm strong. I have a very athletic body, and I will get out of it. So don't worry about me. But his wife told the Imam that the doctor has told her that we are expecting him to die in a few days. And indeed, it happened. He passed away, and he never came to the masjid. And in his mind, he was telling the Imam that I am very athletic, and it's going to be just a temporary time. I have a lot to work on in the future, and inshallah, when I'm better, I will come to the masjid and I will do something better. But he never got the chance to. I had subhanallah, another situation where I used to lead in the Ottawa main mosque. This is in Canada. I still remember that we had an incident where they brought for us a janazah of a young man. He was one of those famous motorcycle riders, and I don't know what group he belonged to, but you know those who go into groups and they go between cities. So he was one of those. Apparently, he was riding his motorcycle, and the police was chasing him. So he went very fast, and he was showing off. You know how they go like this and then they go down? So he was doing this, and he wasn't paying attention to the car next to him, and he hit it, and he flipped multiple, several meters, and he passed away. So they brought him to the masjid. The young man was from an Arab origin, Muslim of course. And I met with his parents, and subhanAllah, it was very sad that they told me, the two parents, they told me, please only do the funeral prayer, and then after that his friends will take care of burying him. I said, are they Muslims? They said no. But he loves his friends more than he loves anyone else, and we would love to, defer or to make this funeral service and burial service to be his choice, as if he was in his life. So we told them, okay, maybe we can go together, and at least to make sure that we do it in an Islamic way. So they went to the cemetery, and wallah, I saw it with my own eyes. They, of course, the people of the masjid, they were helping in getting that casket and placing it in the grave. And then, of course, they worked together to throw the dust. And then we saw this huge, big crowd of youth like him, boys and girls, in their maybe teenage, early 20s. And it was summertime, and they were in the worst ever dress, the worst ever. And then they said the father and the mother have asked all the Muslims to stay away and to get those friends to come and continue with the burial service. And when they came, there were girls and boys, and of course the look and the appearance of the girls was very, very un-Islamic, unmodest, to the extent that no Muslim was willing to even stay in the cemetery. They all left, and he was left with the kuffar, with the disbelievers, and that was their choice. Subhanallah. And I asked myself, so what did he gain out of this? Like, yes, he got his friends to come, and then they were playing the motorcycle. They have, I don't know what they call it, but they were giving him this last farewell that befits his rank in that motorcycle kind of groups. And all the Muslims have left. I remembered at that time when Amr ibn al-As radiallahu anhu passed away. He said, before he passed away on his deathbed, he said to the people around him, he said, when you bury me, I want you to stay next to my grave, because at that point in time, I will be asked my questions, so I need your dua. So see, subhanallah, what the Salihin would remember, and where people who have nothing to worry about this dunya about their akhirah except what they see in their dunya. So that's where Rasulullah said, اغتنم خمسا قبل خمس حياتك قبل موتك. Your life before your death. People already have in their thought that I will live maybe another 60, 70 years, so I don't need to really do anything right now. I will have enough time when I grow up and become old. And subhanAllah, you never know when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala takes your soul. Last thing I would like to say is that he sallallahu has said in the hadith, أعمار أمتي بين الستين والسبعين, that the ages or the average ages of my ummah is between 60 and 70. So that's an average, but many people will die very early, and some people will stay even 100 years old. Rasul sallallahu has said, خير الناس من طال عمره وحسن عمله, that the best among people are those who would have the longer life and the better deeds. حسن عمله, and the better act of deed or acts of worship. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to enable us to leverage those 5 before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala take them away from us. I think this is the hadith. I would love to hear your questions or your thoughts, inshallah, to add to the hadith. Barakallah fikum. I love your participation in anything, inshallah. Yes. Yeah. 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 Yeah, Allah Yajzak al khair. What's your name? Abdullah is pointing out that death is not necessarily a bad thing because it's just a transition between one life to a different life, right? And that's absolutely true. The problem, Habibi Abdullah, is that most of the time people, even though they believe in the hereafter, they say they believe in the hereafter, but their mind is so occupied in this worldly life as if they know nothing except this life. So when they think about death, in their mind, it is the end of what they are enjoying in this dunya. And they are not occupying their mind with anything in the akhirah. That's why, Habibi, living or believing in the Day of Judgment is not a matter of statement that you say. It's something that should reflect in your life. When a person is doing everything possible to gain their share of the pie in this dunya, and they have nothing that they are doing for the akhirah, then I don't know, even if they claim that they believe in the Day of Judgment, in reality they're not. Because they have done nothing for it. Yeah. And unfortunately that's where most of the time people are at. That's why when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in Surah عَمَّا يَتَسَاءَلُونَ عَنِ النَّبَإِ الْعَظِيمِ الَّذِي هُمْ فِيهِ مُخْتَلِفُونَ كَلَّا سَيَعْلَمُونَ ثُمَّ كَلَّا سَيَعْلَمُونَ, that they were all questioning, are we going to be resurrected again? That's the typical question that people had from a long time, because they didn't see it. And because, subhanAllah, when a person is so much occupied with this dunya, it's very difficult for them to convince themselves about the Day of Judgment. Despite the fact that they may be saying that we are Muslims and we believe in all the 6 pillars of Iman, which includes wal yawm al-akhir. Yes, what else, inshallah? The two next to you are Shabab. And you are so old, Akhi. Sorry, I have to be... Did you pass your 50? Or yes? Oh, Maskeen. Half a century. Allahu Akbar. Allah Hafadak. What else, inshallah? I would love to tell you, inshallah. I know that the time of this between Maghrib and Isha, especially when Maghrib gets early, is not the most suitable for people in general. And in addition, most likely people have made their commitments for social activities and visiting friends and whatnot, and visiting family members during Friday or the weekend in general. So what we plan to have is, inshallah, especially when the time changes, is to start more focusing on making this right after Salat al-Isha. Salat al-Isha will be set at what times? 7:30. And now is, so the 7:30 will be the time of the prayer, and then 7:40 is when we start. So just like this time is when we will be starting, inshallah, when the time changes. But then at that point in time, inshallah, our focus will be that we want to start a new pattern in the masjid, where Friday nights are the times where people come from all over, and that they see their friends, and that they see their Muslim fellows, and it becomes more of a family event, inshallah. The hope is to find or to create activity for all family members, regardless of their age and gender. So in a way that, yes, the adults will have their own halqa, the youth will have their own halqa, the children will have their own halqa, and so on. And hopefully, I hope that, inshallah, this we can make it into some series, which means that we can say maybe 2 or 3 consecutive Friday, we'll just talk about one topic. Say, for example, we want to talk about explaining one surah in the Quran, Surah Al-Layl. Or maybe we're talking about Aqidah in the angels, for example. or we want to talk about the rulings of sadaqah, or rulings of making salah while sick, for example, or while on travel, and so on. I mean, any area of in Sharia that can, inshallah, be split into more than one session, and we make them, inshallah, as a series of sessions that come together, and then we can have a break, and then another as a series. But this way, inshallah, it will create a pattern of family coming together and benefiting from consecutive sessions. Not too long sessions that people will say, okay, if I miss the second or the third, then no need to come for the rest, because even if you miss one or two, the series will finish and another new series will start, so you don't have to really worry about what you have missed in the series before, because there is no dependency. So hopefully this will work, and the primary reason for this is really to create that sense of family in the masjid. One of the observations that I have had is that we don't have a time when we come all as family. We don't. There isn't such a time. There are times when we have some programs, like maybe a sister's halaqa, maybe after Isha Khatira, whatnot. But it's not like where everyone comes together. Where the youth, the children, the male, the female, Arab, Indo-Pak, Desi, I mean, African American, Europeans, whatever it is, we don't have that day or time when we come together and feel the blessing of Islam making us one family, a united Muslim family, inshallah, here. So I hope I'm now sharing this as a trader, if you want, but hopefully, inshallah, we will start doing it. I know it will take some time until we get into ramp up and get some momentum, but I hope that, inshallah, we will spread the word and we'll start with this way, inshallah, in like 2 or 3 weeks, bidnillah. Yeah. So any other question, any other comment, any suggestion, any topic that you have in mind for Sunday, for Isha Khatira, for inshallah next Friday, anything? What's the topic for this Sunday? Okay. I was planning to do Surah Al-Sharh, Alam Nashrah Laka Sadrak, because it's related to Ad-Duha. So my plan was to do some hadith, some tafsir, and then go and do some seerah and so on until we cover multiple disciplines or areas, and then inshallah we'll give the choice to the brothers, inshallah, and sisters to choose what we can continue with as a pattern. I mean, what I have heard so far, they like the tafsir, but I want to also present some topics in Aqidah, some topics in Seerah, and see, you probably may like it more. Let's see, inshallah. But Surah Al-Sharh, inshallah, for this Sunday. Any suggestion, any question, any addition? Fiqh. Yeah. Yeah. I actually used to teach a book called Fiqh al-Sunnah. And Fiqh al-Sunnah is written in a way, it's written by an imam who passed away, rahimahullah ta'ala. His name was Sayyid Sabiq. The nice thing about this Fiqh al-Sunnah is that it actually combines between fiqh and hadith, both in the same time. And it actually includes all the 4 madhahib. But Sayyid Sabiq himself, I believe he was Maliki, if I'm not mistaken. I think he was Maliki. He may have his own tarjih, but the nice thing about the book and the structure is that you can always make people aware of their own, of the fiqh matters, not that you are dictating which madhab, but also giving people awareness about why madhab have differed and why they have, like what authentic dalil or hadith that they were relying on. Because most of the time people tell you, I am telling you hadith and you're telling me Imam Shafi'i said something. Well, Imam Shafi'i didn't bring it out of the blue. Imam Shafi'i brought it from hadith. The fact that the person was not aware of that hadith doesn't mean that Imam Shafi'i brought it from the blue. And it's very important for all of us to appreciate those imams and how they have built their fiqh. They have built it on Quran and Sunnah, yet they had the disagreement between them. Yeah. So inshallah, I mean, we can take like a little chapter from fiqh, if that, I mean, that could be, like for example, like tahara. What makes the water tahir to that enable you, and what are the conditions that you need to have in order to become tahir? So that requires to talk about wudu, about ghusl, about the type of water that you use. So that is a section. You can cover it in multiple sessions, and you can always address it from the perspective of the four Islamic school of thought. You give people the great feeling to appreciate our scholars, but at the same time you're not dictating that okay, you follow this regardless of where you're coming from. Any other things on? Okay, so how much is left for Salat? 28 minutes. So, I'm sorry? 27 minutes is left. So I don't want to, I mean, if you don't have a question or anything to add to this, inshallah, I may give you this time back, inshallah, and we can pray Salat al-Isha afterwards. But if you have anything, I mean, let me just make the last chance of asking you. Anything else? Yes, Habibi. Allahumma salli alayhi. Yeah. You love this to be in short khatiras after Isha, or in long sessions like after this one, or in Fajr, or in khutbahs for families? Uh-huh. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, that's great. And I think if we at least take the 10 Sahaba that were given the glad tiding of Jannah, Al-Ashra al-Mubashirun bil-Jannah, I think that would be a great series, inshallah. Or maybe if take the 4 Khulafa al-Rashideen, that's even a shorter series, inshallah. We'll do it, inshallah. Yeah. Mm. I did. So last Amjad conference was about the Islamic rulings and the contemporary Islamic rulings about family, about marriage, divorce, and family rulings. There were multiple research topics that were presented. I was expecting, this was the first time that I attended it, I was expecting that they will have more of, proceedings, if you would, like recommendations after this, but they still did not do it. So they enabled researchers to just present their papers, and everyone was just presenting what they have got, but they did not really do vetting. They did not do what we call it peer review. So it did have a lot of personal opinion, which may not be adopted by Amjad. But otherwise, I mean, they have talked about very, very specific things. Like, for example, a common scenario that we hear about a woman accepting Islam when her husband is not, and she has children. So what happens? Like in the very classical Islamic ruling, in the fiqh of Madhab al-Arba, of the four Islamic school of thought, the ruling is very explicit that she would wait the time of Iddah, which is the 3 months, but they will not be able to have love between them. And if this period is over and the man is choosing not to become Muslim, then they get separated. This is the very common fiqh ruling. But they talked about it in the sense that there is also another opinion that was mentioned by the Sahaba themselves. So things of that nature, I mean, this is a very complicated issue, and I'm just giving you as an example. Another thing is about, for example, officiating marriage, that many Muslim families have a problem when it comes to doing that with the legal work. From a very high level perception, people in America recognize, and I'm talking about people in general, not necessarily Muslims, they recognize that when they do the court marriage, the civil marriage, it means that they are committed, and that they not only committed but also that this is it. They are doing their wedding and they are starting their life together, right? That's how they think about it, because engagement in their mind happens way before that. They may probably even live together before they do their marriage. There's something called common law partner, right? And even regardless of all of these, the non-Muslims have no problem in making boyfriend and girlfriend for years, and they may live together. When they decide that now they are making this legal decision of marriage, and that they commit themselves, and that they will be living together, and that their contribution to the spending will be based on like 50-50 and all that stuff. At that point in time, they do their legal marriage, right? Muslims do not go that way, because for Muslims there's no time for dating, right? There's no time for boyfriend and girlfriend. So what Muslims do is that they start with the kalima, which is what happens between the man and the wali or the guardian of the girl in front of the witnesses. And Islamically speaking, this is a binding marriage. And they do that after they do the court. Problem with that is that the two couple did not have enough a chance to even know about each other or live with each other or even, I mean, most of the Muslim family will not let the girl uncover herself in front of the man until they do this marriage contract, right? Right? زوجتك and قبلت, which we call it the kalimat ijab and qabul. So the problem here is that if the Muslim families have to do it at the court first, and then they do this Islamic marriage, they're not getting any chance of seeing how promising this marriage is. And from an Islamic perspective, when we do the kalima, the girl is not going to live with the man, right? They will have a long time that she would stay with her family, with her father and mother, until they decide to do the wedding. Because for us, when we say, I give you my daughter's hand in marriage, and the person says, yeah, and I accept, this is only to make it permissible to start a relationship. it makes it permissible that the girl would uncover herself in front of the man. That's all what it means. We never mean that now you are ready and go do your wedding and go ma salama with your husband. We don't say that. So the way that we think about our marriage in Islam is very different from the model that they have it in America. So what happens is that sometimes Muslim families say, okay, we will do the Islamic marriage, but not the legal one, and then they get in trouble. So what can we do about this? How can we make it legal, and at the same time give the Muslim families the ability to work on their marriage in a very wise and mature way, so that when they make the decision of making the wedding, they already have done the right thing. So that's a big thing, and unfortunately it was not yet resolved. But that was one of the big discussion there. Yeah. Yeah. Khairan, inshallah. Anything else? I don't want to just take the time for the sake of waiting, so I'll give you the time back, inshallah. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك وصلى الله على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. Inshallah, we'll see you next Friday, and hopefully we will cover another topic, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله. أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة. حي على الصلاة. حي على الفلاح. حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله. الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله. يا ربي صدفك وعرفك يا الله. استووا واعتدلوا. يا رب. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. الله نور السماوات والأرض مثل نوره كمشكاة فيها مصباح المصباح في زجاجة الزجاجة كأنها كوكب دري يوقد من شجرة مباركة زيتونة لا شرقية ولا غربية يكاد زيتها يضيء ولو لم تمسسه نور على نور يهدي الله لنوره من يشاء ويضرب الله الأمثال للناس والله بكل شيء عليم. في بيوت أذن الله أن ترفع ويذكر فيها اسمه يسبح له فيها بالغدو والآصال رجال لا تلهيهم تجارة ولا بيع عن ذكر الله وإقام الصلاة وإيتاء الزكاة يخافون يوما تتقلب فيه القلوب والأبصار ليجزيهم الله أحسن ما عملوا ويزيدهم من فضله والله يرزق من يشاء بغير حساب. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. والذين كفروا أعمالهم كسراب بقيعة يحسبه الظمآن ماء حتى إذا جاءه لم يجده شيئا ووجد الله عنده فوفاه حسابه والله سريع الحساب. أو كظلمات في بحر اللجي يغشاه موج من فوقه موج من فوقه سحاب ظلمات بعضها فوق بعض إذا أخرج يده لم يكد يراها ومن لم يجعل الله له نورا فما له من نور. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. أستغفر الله أستغفر الله أستغفر الله. اللهم أنت السلام ومنك السلام تبارك يا ذا الجلال والإكرام. لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، له الملك وله الحمد وعلى كل شيء قدير. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله. لا إله. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I just want to list the hadith or say the hadith that we were discussing between Maghrib and Isha so that everyone can hear it, inshallah. It's a very nice hadith. Rasulullah said in that hadith, as it was narrated by Abdullah ibn Abbas, and it was reported in Al-Mustadrak ala Sahihain, Kitab al-Hakim. The hadith says that Rasulullah was giving an advice to a man, and he told him, take advantage of 5 before another 5 would befall you. And he said, اغتنم خمسا قبل خمس. The first one was شبابك قبل هرمك, your young age before you become too old. شبابك قبل هرمك وصحتك قبل سقمك, and your healthy state before you become ill or sick. وغناك قبل فقرك, and your financial stable condition or your rich condition before you become in need, before you become poor. وفراغك قبل شغلك, and your free time before you become very busy. وحياتك قبل موتك, and your life before Allah takes your soul. Those 5, in most of the human would take them for for granted, and they will not be paying that much of attention to them. But subhanallah, when they change, when the condition changes, people will just not realize that. How many of us are very safe and stable at their jobs, all of a sudden they off? How many of us are young and subhanallah they are enjoying their life, but then subhanallah the life goes so fast, and then they will find themselves become very tired of being old? And how many of us have the mashallah the full hope in their life that they will live long and long and long, and all of a sudden an accident takes their soul? So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help us to leverage those 5 and become the ones that will be more smart in how they will be prepared for the Day of Judgment. Jazakumullah khair. Sallallahu Muhammad.